Ever thought about making a podcast? Well, Anchor is the easiest and simplest way to do so. Let me explain. For starters, it's free. There's also creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone, laptop, or computer. Anchor will also distribute your podcast for you, so it can be heard on multiple platforms such as Spotify, Apple Podcast, Google Podcasts, and much, much more. You can also make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need in a podcast in one place. So give it a try. Welcome back, everyone, to Those Film Nerds podcast. As always, I'm joined today by my trusty Sam Dierberger. Sam, how are you on this fine evening as we're recording?
I think we're doing well. I'm doing well.
Good. It's good.
Another busy week.
No kidding.
Another tenantless week here in the summer.
It's funny. My dad tells me this week I don't have cable where I'm living right now, so I don't get commercials really because I just stream everything. But my dad lives up in the Twin Cities where I kind of, or in Minneapolis, I should say, and I live down in Iowa for the summers, and he comes down on weekends and whatnot. He was telling me as he was watching something, he was watching TV this past week, comes down and he says he saw a Tenet trailer and it set a date, which is always a good sign because, as he said, before it's like, yeah, this is what day we're going to go with, but they never really advertised it. But now, again, as he said, they're putting money into it, which is a good sign because that means they're likely going to stick with that. So that's good news. Good news.
Yeah.
And hopefully
that's huge.
Hopefully it doesn't get delayed again. But, we roll with the punches.
We roll with the punches. And we will continue with these terrible streaming release. This particular streaming release was, particularly terrible, as we'll get into. But either way, Tenet or no Tenet, we will continue with the streaming releases.
We will.
And
couple new ones out this week. Maybe we'll decide at the end of the episode. There's two I'm thinking, but we'll decide later on.
Yeah.
So just a little bit of industry news here, kind of sad industry news. The in memoriam this year at the Oscars is going to be a tearjerker. Let's just say that we lost another great this week, which many of you might not know, but I'm sure some giant nerds would know. Ennio Morricone passed away, the legendary composer of 355 movies. One of his most recent being Tarantino's The Hateful Eight, where he won an Oscar for. But other movies such as The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, Once Upon a Time in America, Once Upon a Time in the West, The Thing, and so on, has just passed. Very unfortunate, very sad. But we just also like to say greats such as Carl Reiner, comedy great. He was really old, but he passed away just maybe 2 weeks ago. Fred Willard, another comedy name that many people would recognize.
Yeah.
If you might not recognize the name, but you look up an image of Fred Willard, you'd be like, oh yeah, I know him. Awesome guy.
He's everywhere.
Always loved seeing his face. Passed away maybe 3 weeks ago. And director Joel Schumacher passed away maybe 3 weeks ago as well. Director of multiple movies, The Lost Boy, Batman Forever, Batman and Robin. Maybe not the best movies, but still quite sad to see someone.
I take that back, yes.
To see someone who's been around for so long in the industry pass away. So just wanted to mention that they're in our thoughts.
Yes.
But
yeah.
Again, as we just said, we're
quite a year.
Yeah, and we should say
we continue on.
These four people died within 4 weeks of each other. It was kind of insane, just getting like alert after alert, like this person died, this person. It was crazy, but hopefully that doesn't stop. This actually made me, having these people died made me look up like ages of other old actresses, directors, and I was just like, man, Robert De Niro, he's old. You just never know. Man, Julie Andrews, she's really old. You just never know. We can only hope that they don't.
Julie Andrews looks fantastic.
Does she actually?
She's like 85.
She's 84 right now.
Look at her. Look up like a 2019 picture of Julie Andrews. You'll be like, she doesn't look a day over 60.
She's beautiful. Yeah,
It's astonishing.
Yes, she does. I'm looking at an image now. She does look great, which is kind of insane, actually. Anyway, we're not here to talk about Julie Andrews and how great she looks at the age of 84. Sam, I think you have something to bring to the table for us today for a little bit here.
Oh my goodness. Guess what, you guys? After weeks of begging you all for an email, one of you, which is those film nerds at gmail.com.
Yep.
We should shout that out. But we got an email this week from, I don't know if he wants me to say his name.
Let's not.
He just said it's from a loyal fan.
From a loyal fan.
From a loyal fan. So loyal fan says, "Hi, film nerds. I recently rewatched Once Upon a Time in Hollywood and thought of this did happen. I think thought of if this did happen.
Yeah.
What roles of the 70s, 80s, and 90s, and even 2000s would she have?" And we figured out that the she is referring to Sharon Tate. After some correspondence with him, it would be cool to see you guys go through famous blonde women roles and see what career she could have had. From a loyal fan. Oh, and P.S. Sam's voice is so sexy, and that is very true. Thank you.
We should note. We
should note. I can confirm that my voice is very sexy. So Sharon Tate.
But yeah, wait, we should say thank you for the email. That was great to see.
Thank you for the email. Continue to write in, loyal fan. That's an interesting conversation starter for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So we should say, I'm looking at Sharon Tate's IMDb. I literally have not seen a single one of the movies she has been in, to my fault. So it's hard for me to say. It's hard for me to say what she would be good at.
Yeah.
I would literally just be putting her into other attractive female roles, which I don't think would be fair. But Sam, you brought it up a good point. Unless do you have any thoughts on what Sharon Tate could have played had Rick Dalton and Cliff Booth been alive and stopped the Charles Manson murders?
Yeah. Don't you think that someone like Woody Allen would just like scoop her up and just?
Yeah, he'd be like Woody Allen would. Diane Keaton wouldn't exist if Sharon Tate had not died.
Yeah, she would be in his like troupe of actresses. But that's my best guess. Like Will, I haven't seen any Sharon Tate movies. But what I brought up was the more interesting question is what would Polanski would have done? If his wife hadn't been murdered.
What would Roman Polanski have done? Yes.
What would Roman Polanski would have done? And because really we have to remember that Sharon Tate wasn't much of an actress, like wasn't much of a prolific actress. It's not like she wasn't really the thing at the time. It was more of her husband. Like she was an up and comer for sure, but I think that her husband was really kind of them together. You got a kind of an archetypal Hollywood power couple, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. So the question would be, what would Polanski have done? Because for anyone who doesn't know, he kind of went crazy, raped a woman, and then was
Raped a girl.
okay, girl,
She's
yeah,
like
and then
she's like 13 or something like that. It was awful, but
was like banished from the country, or he just went away essentially.
yeah, what happened was he was awaiting trial and he was out on bail, and then he somehow secured a flight to France, and by some technicality, the United States doesn't have extradition with France, or didn't at the time. So he's been able to live in France and Poland, I believe, is native Poland, for the last 50 plus years, and he's still making movies. He just had a movie released last year. It won like the equivalent of Best Picture in at like the equivalent of the French Oscars, I guess.
Yeah,
And he got resounding boos just because.
as he probably should.
Yeah.
It's also interesting because he directed The Pianist.
Yes.
So in 2002, which won a bunch of awards. I mean, not best picture, but it won quite a few awards there. So we thought it would be more of an interesting question. What would Polanski have done? I initially brought up like he would make a bunch of Paul Thomas Anderson movies. Like I could just totally see Polanski making Boogie Nights and The Master. Like that just seems like such a
100%.
Polanski movie.
Yeah.
The Master, which are both great movies, and I think he would have done I mean, it wouldn't be exactly like PTA did, but
yeah,
it'd be that type of movie that Polanski would make. What other thoughts do you have on that?
Well, I just think that first of all, I know this. So Chinatown, which he directed in 1974, Roman Polanski. Chinatown is one of my favorite movies, and I read somewhere that the original ending, Robert Towne wrote a happier ending to Chinatown. I won't spoil anything, but it turns out pretty good for most of the characters. And Polanski said, "No, I don't want that. I want something dark. I'm in a dark mood still, even 5 years after his wife's murder," which, obviously it's something you probably never recover from.
Absolutely.
So, that might have been his kind of expression of how he feels, knowing that with what the trauma that was inflicted on him.
Yeah.
So that's what I brought up.
And we say, what would he be doing? I mean, he's still making movies, obviously, but it's kind of to a lesser extent, especially being in, or at least not movies that in America we're really aware of, just because
right,
they're made in different countries, and it's probably frowned upon to kind of promote them in America and things like that. So without that, or if he were making movies in the United States, that's kind of the question, what we're asking, or how would his style be, things like that.
Yep.
But really interesting thought, actually. And Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is a great movie, so always going to rewatch that.
It is. It was only better on the rewatch, I think.
Oh, have you seen it twice?
I did. I got it from Redbox actually a couple months ago.
Nice.
My dad wanted to see it.
I think I've seen it 3 times. It's great.
Oh, it's just absolute catharsis.
I've said this. I've said this before. I think I might have told you this, Sam, but kind of going on what that email was saying, like if the movie had actually happened, if Sharon Tate hadn't died, which the movie portrays, spoiler alert, I'm sorry, Sharon Tate lives because Rick Dalton and Cliff Booth were there to save her, essentially, which is Once Upon a Time in Hollywood's main 2 characters.
Right.
How I kind of look at a Tarantino movie is he thinks he's making a biopic.
Yes.
He's just like, I'm making a biopic, and this is what would happen if Rick Dalton and Cliff Booth were living or were real people. This is what would have happened. Yeah. Same with like Inglourious Bastards. If the Bastards had been alive and were real people, this is how World War II would have ended.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I just think that's interesting.
Well, maybe an even better question is, where does Rick Dalton go from there after?
Good question. So he's buds with Polanski now, though. So
Yeah, and frying, flame throwing a girl to death in his backyard pool.
Yep.
What like I feel like your career would be absolutely rejuvenated after that. I feel like you would start.
He's so pumped to get going again.
Yeah, he would be in all sorts of things. My God.
No more spaghetti westerns for Rick Dalton.
No, Francesca. Francesca. Underrated character, Francesca. Italian wife.
So I'd recommend that movie's great. Check it out.
Yes.
But do you have anything else you want to talk about before we get into the movie? Or should we just skip the movie? We'll just end it here.
This is the good part of the episode.
Do we have to talk about this?
Well, we talked actors' deaths, and we talked, if Sharon Tate hadn't died, and that's the best part of this episode.
Yeah.
I already guarantee this.
It's going to get way darker.
It's going to get way darker because we are talking about – hang on, I got to get the title right.
Get the full title. Don't just say the first word, okay?
It's lengthy. Okay. Are you ready for this?
Yeah.
Eurovision Song Contest, the story of Fire Saga. Yes. Streaming on Netflix now. Oh, yeah.
Eurovision Song Contest, the story of Fire Saga. Every time we want to say it, the title, we have to say the whole thing. No, just saying Eurovision.
Yes.
Because that was an artistic decision. You just don't understand it. All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
It only made the movie better.
But Eurovision. I'm kidding. We're not going to call it by that whole thing because our jaws would be sore by the end of the episode. No,
it doesn't. As we'll find out, it does not deserve to be read as a full title. It's just, it's kind of like, in Harry Potter, they don't say Voldemort's name.
Oh yeah, yeah. What are they? He who shall not be named, or something like that.
Yeah, or who. It's
essentially the same thing. Eurovision and Voldemort.
Oh, basically.
You want to know what's the weirdest part about this movie? And we'll get into specific or general thoughts, then specifics later. But I just have to say this: it's 64% on Rotten Tomatoes.
How did that happen?
64% of critics were like, "Yep, I dug it. I liked it."
64% of critics were like, "Oh, that was a fun romp." Like,
what's like the dumbest part about that is I guarantee if I read any sort of reviews, they'd be like, "Well, it's not supposed to be super great." Like, well, you can make a good comedy. Trust me, I've seen one.
Yes. Will Ferrell can be in a good comedy.
Yes, he can be. It's rare, but he can be.
Yeah. So can
we just talk about Ferrell for a minute?
Yeah, let's talk about Will Ferrell, which I'm fascinated by him as a man. Like, he is not exactly how what would you say? Talented?
I think he is talented. I think for the most part, especially in the 2000s, not the 2010s, but the 2000s, he can elevate material, even if it's bad material. Like some of his skits and bits on SNL, it's awful writing, but he elevates it. Same with some of his movies in the 2000s, but he has not had a good movie in. I don't even know how long.
Megamind is pretty good. I enjoy Megamind. I really do. I think that movie is really smart.
But that's voice work. Sometimes that's different, I mean.
Yeah, I wouldn't count that,
It hasn't been a great run. I mean, you have like Daddy's Home 2, Zoolander 2, Get Hard. Like just not a good stretch for the old Ferrell. Holmes and Watson, Downhill, just
Oh yeah, Holmes and Watson got absolutely trashed by the critics. Which is
Oh no, but Sam, the tagline to the movie is, wait for it, homies. Get it? Because it's homes. They're homies.
it's so
Yeah, you get it?
clever.
Because they're homies. Holmes and Watson are homies. Yeah.
Because one of them is named Holmes. Oh my god. Yeah, critical response for Holmes and Watson. Let's just look at this for a second. On review aggregator Rotten Tomatoes, the film holds an approval rating of 10% based on 77 reviews.
Way too high. Way too high.
For Sherlock Holmes. I haven't seen it.
Neither have I. But
I haven't seen it. But
I have seen clips of it because I actually debated on going to it when it was in theaters. I've seen numerous clips of it. Like 5-minute clips, a few of them, and it's just aggressively not funny.
It won the Razzie for worst picture, worst director, worst supporting actor, and worst prequel / remake / ripoff / sequel. Also was nominated for worst actor for Will Ferrell and worst on-screen combo for Will Ferrell and John C. Reilly.
Nice. Oh, that's good. That's what you like. By the way, these are the two guys that made Talladega Nights and Step Brothers.
Yes.
Like really funny movies.
Yes.
The point is, Ferrell hasn't been good in quite a while. Yeah. But let's get into the movie. Let's get into Eurovision Song Contest, the story of Fire Nation Avatar Bender Song Contest. Okay.
First of all, we should talk about that title because, okay, from any objective standpoint, the title Eurovision Song Contest, the story of Fire Saga, the average person is going to have no freaking clue what that means. And it's not the kind of like, oh, what does that mean? I need to watch it to find out. It's literally like, what is that, a documentary?
You shouldn't. Skip? Yeah, you should not have song contest in your movie title.
Like, what were they thinking? This entire film, all I could think was, what were they thinking? What were they trying to do here?
I don't know. I don't have an answer for you.
So, I don't even know where to start here.
Okay, let's just give a brief outline. Will Ferrell and Rachel McAdams. I said this off the show, but I'll just say it again here. Will Ferrell is not an attractive man.
No,
he never has been. And that's not he owns up to that too, which is hilarious. Like he knows he's not attractive, but he'll roll with it. Rachel McAdams is one of the 15 most beautiful women in Hollywood.
Yes.
And she is in love with Will Ferrell.
Yes.
But don't worry, if that doesn't seem ridiculous enough, there's a B plot where they're siblings. Oh yeah.
Well, it's
just we're moving on from that. But they are, the two of them are a singing duo from Iceland. So we get some, I have to assume, awful accents. Could Will Ferrell even do the accent? I just heard his American accent for most of the movie. Every once in a while he'd sound like he was from Scotland, but then I was like, nope, I just hear Will Ferrell right now. He just sounds like an American dude.
Yeah. Yeah.
Accent was awful.
All the way around, really. The best acting, I think, was from this is so weird. This is so niche. Graham Norton as himself. That was like the bright spot of the movie.
Was he the announcer? Was he the announcer?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
I just liked seeing Graham Norton.
I didn't think Rachel McAdams was bad when she was on screen by herself.
No, she wasn't bad.
When she was on screen with Will Ferrell, Ferrell was bad. So it just like the scene was bad. But
he
like
kind of drug everything down. Yeah.
when she was by herself, I was like, okay, I kind of know what she's going for.
Yeah. Yeah. I would agree.
So there are a few redeeming qualities, not many, but there's a few. But so essentially they're Icelandic singers trying to make it to Eurovision, which is like the European song contest. I guess that's really what it is.
Yep.
Each country in Europe gets to submit one singer/band to perform a song and try and win the award, I guess.
Yes.
But first they have to win their own country. So they have to beat everyone in Iceland. And Demi Lovato is from Iceland. And she's a great singer, so she's obviously going to win. She's going to win. Like, they're sending her to Eurovision. But Will Ferrell and Rachel McAdams, they get drawn out of a hat. So they get to at least compete for it. Because they just got
very,
lucky.
Very Rocky-esque. Very Rocky-esque.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Yeah, you're right. That's funny, actually.
They're just like, who should we let's just draw someone.
Just draw a name out of a hat.
Yeah.
So we do that.
think, well, they pick a cassette out of a bucket and they're like, oh, let's go for that. First of all, wait, hang on. We got to talk about Lars and Sigrid, who are Will Ferrell and Rachel McAdams, respectively. They grow up together.
Oh, gosh, the opening scene was so bad.
Yeah.
When they're little kids, immediately, yes. I was like, nope, I'm done with this movie.
It was embarrassing. It was embarrassing.
They're watching Eurovision when the two of them are kids, and Will Ferrell's younger character, so Lars's young self, like 8 years old, is watching it and dancing, and everyone's laughing at him. And then he's like, I'm going to win it. And then we cut forward. I was just like, that was terrible. That was so bad. What was going on there? Okay.
Never mind that Will Ferrell is a full 11 years older than Rachel McAdams, and we're supposed to pretend that they're like, the same age. Like they grew up together, they were childhood friends.
Within at least 2 years, within 2 to same age.
Right. Yeah. Right. And they've lived this long as best friends and bandmates, and a romantic relationship has thus far not blossomed between them. But
Rachel McAdams is going for it. Sigrid, I don't want to group Rachel McAdams, so we're just going to call her Sigrid from now on. Sigrid is really trying to get Lars to. I'm going to say Will Ferrell. Will Ferrell and Sigrid. I don't want to bring Rachel McAdams' name down. Will Ferrell and Sigrid.
Will Ferrell. Will Ferrell just cannot seem to notice Sigrid's advances, right?
Which are painstakingly obvious, by the way.
It's like you grew up together for like 30 years and you're still not. Oh God, it was so childish. It's so childish.
We should say this is the most paint by numbers movie ever.
Yes.
When this is a Netflix original or whoever made it, doesn't matter. When the first pitch came across and they had a script, they were like, all right, here's what we're thinking. Here's what we got. And then the studio was like, okay, you have to do these 10 things. And they were like, oh, shoot. All right, we'll go do those 10 things.
Yeah, like I could, if they gave me that checklist, I could write this movie. And I don't mean that as a compliment to myself. I'm just saying anyone could write this movie.
Yeah.
Because there's not even like any specific scenes that stand out as particularly hilarious. Like,
how many times did you laugh? This is a comedy, by the way.
I don't know if we made that clear. It's supposed to be a comedy.
It's trying to be a comedy.
It's trying. It's almost so bad that like I was wondering if there was something I was missing. Like it almost feels like a parody of a Will Ferrell movie. Like it's like meta comedy. Like it's a comedy parodying a comedy,
yeah, that's
you
great.
know? But like because there's no witty dialogue. Like there's no moment where you're like, oh, that was really clever. Like
So how many times did you laugh?
um
Slash smile.
I think I gave one of those like like one of those snorting laughs like
Yeah.
once, and then um I smiled at the during the where Graham Norton is doing the play-by-play on the hamster wheel. I thought
Oh,
that was
okay.
that was just kind of funny, but
So
um
I got a decent chuckle. It wasn't a laugh, but like a decent chuckle out of one part, and then I smiled at one other. I don't even remember what I smiled at. I was just like, that's funny.
oh no, you know what was really funny? And this was unintentionally funny. When Sigrid discovers that uh Alexander Lemtov, the flamboyant singer representing Russia, when she figures out that he's gay, um I almost laughed just because it's like that's not even funny. Like I laughed
Yeah.
that they put that in thinking that that would be funny.
You ironically laughed.
I ironically laughed. Like
So
it was more funny that the writers thought that it would be funny.
I'll get to the part right now where when I laughed. So essentially now they're just going against everyone in Iceland.
Yeah.
Well, the 10 groups in Iceland to go to the Europe finale thing.
Yes.
And
Eurovision.
so they're terrible. They lose. They take last place in all of Iceland. And then everyone all the singers are going out onto a party boat just to have a good time, like just a celebratory thing, right?
Yeah.
And the boat blows up. But Will Ferrell okay, so Will Ferrell and Rachel McAdams.
Okay, I might have laughed at that part too for the same reason.
No, I didn't laugh at that part. I was like, that was so okay. One sec, I'll just get to it. So Will Ferrell and Rachel McAdams aren't on the boat though because they were sad that they lost, essentially. And then as soon as they're just getting down on themselves, the boat blows up. And I was like, what the heck just happened? Like, I didn't think it was funny. I was just like, what just happened?
No, again,
There's like
funny
limbs flying at them
oh my god.
and wood board and then they start cheering because now they're the final group left, so they're gonna go to Eurovision.
Yeah.
I was like, this is how they got there?
Yes.
That is
That's what I mean.
dumb.
It's funny because the writers thought that that was a decent plot point. Like you could be like, how do we drive this plot forward? Like how do they end up going to Eurovision? Do we make this dramatic scene where they actually win the contest, where they win the Icelandic contest and they win the judges over? No. We're just gonna have them go by technicality. How do we do that?
Everyone else blows up.
There's a boat party and we have someone blow up.
So
we have them all blow up.
I haven't laughed yet, but it's like the next scene when they're in the Icelandic headquarters for song things, because every country has that. Every country has that.
Yeah.
And these two guys are talking like, well, we have to send. So their band name is Fire Saga. They're like, we have to send Fire Saga. They're the only one left. And then he's like, yes, but they are terrible. We can't let them go. But they're the only one left. We have to. And then eventually he convinces them, or one of them convinces each other that they're going to send Fire Saga. And then but he's like, oh gosh, we're going to be embarrassed. They're absolutely dreadful. They're horrible. And then it pans over to them sitting in the room and they're just smiling. That got a cheap laugh out of me. I was like, that's kind of funny.
That is really cheap. That they're just saying they're just taking it. Yeah.
So I looked at how many minutes had gone by. 42 at that point. So that's good. 42 minutes.
Was it that far in?
Also, 42 minutes and we still haven't gotten to Eurovision yet, which is literally the title of the movie.
Well, I came for the Eurovision Song Contest, not for Fire Saga.
45 minutes in, we have not gotten Eurovision at all.
I should mention too. So the main bad guy, as we find out later, but he's introduced in these earlier scenes. Victor Carlosson is the governor of the Central Bank of Iceland, who doesn't want Iceland to win the contest because he's worried about the country's budget, and he's like, basically, Iceland cannot afford to host next year's Eurovision as is tradition, so we don't want to win.
Which is the dumbest plot point ever. I was like,
which is a terrible plot point.
I was really, this is what we're going with. They're like,
you could have done the KGB. You could have done like, Vladimir Putin getting involved. You could do so many things.
Nope, Icelandic banker.
Putin has a vengeance against the Icelandic. But it was nice to see, some people who are concerned about countries' deficits, get involved in the movie, and they're like, this is not financially responsible. He is the most violent, this is not financially responsible kind of guy I've ever seen in my life. He'll tell you if we can't afford to host Eurovision. He'll tell you. He'll blow up a boat for it.
He did, and he did. He did blow up the boat. We'll just say we're in spoilers. I mean, if we're in spoilers, but honestly, don't see this movie, please. This is terrible. It's very quite bad. It's 2 hours. This should be a 92-minute movie.
I could not believe it.
It's 2 hours and 4 minutes. I couldn't wrap my brain around that. I'm like, you don't have enough content here for 80 minutes. Ugh.
Yeah. You could tell it was so stretched out.
Where do we go from here? They get to Eurovision and
yeah.
So they go to this party and then they all synchronize sing. That was so stupid.
I was just angry at that point.
That is the point where I was like, I looked up the Rotten Tomato score because I'm like, this has to be about 5%. Or I was like, it has to be less than 20. Like, this just probably shuts everyone off. Like, okay, this is terrible. That's where I saw it was 64, and I was like, what? People recommended this.
I was just absolutely angry at that point because I was like, okay, first of all, I was promised a dumb comedy. I'm getting the dumb. I'm not getting any comedy at all.
We are getting the dumb. Yep.
This scene is like probably a solid 10 minutes of them just, like singing these songs. Also, the songs aren't even new. Like that they're singing in that scene. They're all like
Black Eyed Peas
pop songs.
Black Eyed Peas, I got a feeling, is really relevant. Okay.
It's very – they're just, like, going through a medley of, like, 21st century pop material. And I'm like, I thought I was watching a dumb Will Ferrell comedy. I didn't come here for MTV. It's like – I think they really did need to fill up space in that movie. They're just like –
fill up space for what? We're already at an hour and 20 minutes. Or an hour – 120 minutes.
Maybe they actually were, too liberal with their estimate and the budget for the movie, and they're like, "Hey, we got like a couple million to burn right now. Could we just make, like a little scene to insert in the middle?"
This is where we also get the plot points of Sigrid, kind of falling in love with the Russian dude, and Lars kind of in a relationship with I don't know who. That creates an odd drama between Sigrid and Lars.
Right.
Which was totally needed for the character building. Right?
Well, of course. Of course.
Yeah.
We want jealousy between the two. And the way okay, so these characters, Sigrid and Will Ferrell kind of fall in and out of love, right? They make up, they fall back. But the way that they get back together is it's so contrived. Like it was just lazy. The writers were just lazy. Like,
yeah,
there was nothing nothing creative, nothing funny, nothing heartwarming about it.
Is there anything that you liked in this movie?
I kind of liked I liked their song. I liked Double Trouble.
Okay.
I enjoyed it. I enjoyed Double Trouble.
I think
it is
pros of this movie. I think Rachel McAdams is decent. It's tough when you're given really bad material, but I think she's okay.
Yeah, but even then she's not really a comedic presence.
No, she's not. She isn't.
I don't see why she wanted to or needed to do this movie.
Yeah, I was just thinking the whole time. I'm like, honey, you were in a Best Picture winner like 4 years ago. You were nominated for Best Supporting Actress. Why did you were like Will Ferrell comedy, Eurovision Song Contest, the Ballad of Ricky Bobby? Yes, please. Need that one.
They must have approached her with something.
Oh, I hope she
absolutely ridiculous.
Hey, cash them checks. You know, I can't say that enough. Make your money, but
honestly, I would have thought there was something a little more lucrative for Rachel McAdams.
Are there any other pros to this movie? It's tough to come up with one. Yep. I'm trying to say, like, is there anything? How do you feel about the weird elf plot line? Apparently, there's like folklore of elves in Iceland, and Sigrid makes sacrifices to the elves by bringing them food, pretty much, and then it's supposedly supposed to give them good luck. Was that just weird for you, or?
Yes.
I don't know what was going on there. It was just really odd. You know?
It was just like, again, it was just useless. Like there was no moment where it was like,
yeah, it just didn't provide anything to the story. I guess, like, I suppose when, that bad guy we mentioned earlier, the Icelandic banker, when we figure out he's a bad guy and he's trying to kill Will Ferrell, I guess the elves, they just throw a knife at him and kill him. I was like, what's going on?
That happened so quick too, because it was kind of like in The Irishman when Hoffa finally gets killed, like 3 hours.
Yeah. Like way into the movie.
Hoffa finally gets killed. It went like that fast. It was like, oh, here we go. He just gets stabbed. Yeah. And first of all, this man, God bless Victor Carlofson, standing up for as a libertarian. I respect it so much. I'm just kidding. I respect it so much. This man was willing to blow up an entire boat of Iceland's biggest musicians just to save the federal budget of Iceland. Like, wow, what a hero! What a hero for fiscal responsibility.
Absolutely.
But, the other thing was,
I just want to mention real quick.
Yes.
The whole movie, we're led to believe that this Fire Saga is just terrible. Like, they're awful musicians. But then there's hints where Rachel McAdams is the best singer of all time. I was just like, you can't have it both ways. They have to be awful, or they have to be like an underdog Rocky type thing. Yes. You can't say one and then be like, but it's also this. And I was just like, no. That's not, you can't do that.
Oh, we should mention too, I've read like 3 or 4 articles that have been published on this now, and it's like, no, that was not actually Rachel McAdams singing. Calm down, everyone. Like, she sang some of the like in-scene parts, but any part where it's like, you can get away with lip syncing, she, was they had actually a real Icelandic Finnish singer, I believe, do her part.
Actually, and we should say, you mentioned it. You like the song. The singing was good in that moment too. I was like, okay, that was good singing. Yeah, it was very obvious to me it wasn't Rachel McAdams, but I was like, that's good. I guess I liked that part.
Yeah.
When she hits the note that no one can hit.
Yeah.
And it was, again, super paint by numbers. Obviously, that's how it was going to happen. But I was just like, yeah, okay, sure.
Yeah, it was something, So I did find one part that I did. This was the part I think I snorted at.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I want to hear this.
It's when it's when Alexander, the handsome Russian guy, is trying to woo Sigrid in his very lavish apartment.
Yes.
He says to her, he goes in his Russian accent. He's like, "You are beautiful and kind. I am handsome and rich. This is typically very winning combination." I started at that a little. The way it was delivered was very clever.
That's what I was trying to say earlier. When Will Ferrell isn't on screen, it's so much better.
Yes.
When he's on screen, it's pretty bad. I thought the thing with the American like teenagers touring Europe was
so stupid.
Was weird, but it was kind of funny just to see. I mean, I didn't laugh, didn't even smirk, but it was like they're doing a trope of dumb Americans. Okay, that's kind of cool, but
they weren't even typical dumb Americans. They were just frat kids.
I couldn't get over that. Two of them were wearing Arizona State shirts, and one was wearing Arizona. Like, those are 2 different colleges, and I live in Iowa, and Iowa State and Iowa fans, I mean, they're friends, but like, why are college kids going to different schools on vacations together? How they go to a different school? Like, I just didn't.
And
that's just such a weird. Why even have Arizona and Arizona State University shirts?
No one's gonna know. No one in Europe is gonna know what that is. Yeah, Arizona State, sure. Yeah.
No one in Europe is watching this. They're like, "What is this offensive content?"
I saw a Letterboxd, the best Letterboxd review on the Eurovision song contest, the story of Fire Saga. The best Letterboxd review was something like, "See, this is why Americans aren't allowed to go to Eurovision."
This is why Americans aren't allowed to go to Eurovision.
Yes, and like, yep, that's exactly right, because we would 100% ruin it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it was. God, this movie. God.
So I guess we'll just say the ending. They don't win. Wait, do they win? No, they don't win because they like changed. I already forgot. I've already forgotten. No, they don't win because they changed their song because Will Ferrell he finally realized that he loved Secret. So they changed the song. And then everyone was like, wow, really great song. Super awesome. They're not going to win, though, because they changed it.
And that song, that freaking song, he heard her play it once through a door for about 5 seconds. And then he can suddenly go on stage, sit down, play the entire song on the piano.
And vocalize during the song as well.
And vocalize with her. And like, I'm like, this just lazy from a writing perspective. Just lazy. You could have had him sneak into her hotel room, see that she had scribbled some sheet music that turns it overnight or something like that.
Yeah,
Just
bad,
lazy.
just bad writing. It ends with Rachel McAdams and Will Ferrell getting married. They have a child, and then Rachel McAdams' mom and Will Ferrell's dad also get married. Yes. So that was nice. Yeah, I'm done. I'm done with this movie.
And oh yeah, that was Pierce Brosnan.
Yeah, Pierce Brosnan. I don't know what he was doing. Don't know why he was in this, but
he actually did well.
Look at that. Another positive, glowing review. All right.
Well,
I'll put you down for a good movie. I'll put you down for a good movie.
Good movie. Pierce Brosnan, good job.
No, right. Not a good movie. Not a good movie. But do you wanna move on to star ratings? I'm kinda tapped out. Kind of tapped out on Eurovision Song Contest Pro-Am for the tour. I'm just gonna start calling it a different suffix every time.
Yeah, lots of suffixes.
Do you want to move on to ratings?
Yeah, sure. I think we agree on this.
Yeah.
I out of 5 stars with half stars, I will generously give Eurovision Walk on the Wild Side, the Icelandic Experience. I will give this movie 1 star, 1 full star, about 21%. Lower 1 stars. Some of the cinematography, some of that onstage cinematography was pretty good.
Okay. Cool.
A lot of the songs that were original were kind of good. I liked Alexander's song, the Russian song. That was
I did not because the intro was trying to so hard rip off the Lion King, and I was like, nope.
Yeah, I didn't care about that.
I don't know why I did, but
what was that called? Like Lionheart or something? I don't know.
He definitely started with trying to go with the intro to Circle of Life, and I was just like, ugh.
Yeah.
Gosh.
Yeah.
Ugh. But yeah, so you're giving it a 1 star. I'm right with you, 1 star. I think the script is like a -12 stars.
Yeah.
And Ferrell is like a -2 stars.
Yeah.
We mentioned some good things. McAdams, some of the cinematography, I guess. The song is all right. It brings it up to a 1 star. I really don't know how this is getting 64% on Rotten Tomatoes. Maybe we should just take away all of the credentials of people that give this a fresh, positive review.
Yes. Well, we were anti Rotten Tomatoes. We have been for a long time anti Rotten Tomatoes. But my God,
I'm fine with Rotten Tomatoes. I use it. I like it all right. I just think sometimes it's like they just get things wrong, which maybe I'm wrong.
I mean, we all gotta be wrong about something, but
yeah.
If you think this movie is hilarious or even funny, I don't even know any age group that would find this movie funny.
I only laughed once and I smiled another time. I was trying to say, like, maybe if the comedy was landing for me, when would it be funny? And I had a hard time being like, people would find this funny. I was seriously just like, this isn't funny.
Yeah.
Like, it was aggressively not funny. I just didn't get it.
Like, no one in Europe is going to find it funny. No one in America understands what Eurovision is. And also,
I was just so not into it.
It's terrible. It's a terrible movie.
All right, let's move on. Let's move on. So we're gonna hit. Do you want to hit a recommend this week?
Yeah, I thought I'd recommend.
Cool. Let's hear it.
Something decent from the Will Ferrell troupe, I guess. Ooh. I don't know if Will Ferrell was one of the producers on this movie or whatever, but his frequent collaborator, John C. Reilly, is actually a very talented guy.
Oh, I love John C. Reilly. He's great. He is.
He's very talented, much more versatile than his friend Will Ferrell.
Oh, absolutely.
He can do serious roles. He can do comedic roles. He can play music. So there's this movie called Walk Hard, the Dewey Cox Story. And it's kind of like parodying Ray, Walk the Line, I'm Not There, any Beatles biopic movie, just all of these. It's kind of the story of this singer-songwriter who comes up in the 60s and 70s, and it's kind of a parody of like Johnny Cash, some of these early kind of folk singers, Bob Dylan, the Beatles, all sorts of people, and it kind of makes fun of the biopic trope, and it is actually genuinely hilarious at a lot of parts. So it's called Walk Hard, the Dewey Cox Story. I believe it's on Netflix, and it's definitely worth a watch to clean your palate from this garbage.
It is on Netflix. I just checked. Cool. I actually will check that out too. That's nice. Very nice. And it's 96 minutes too, which is a good length for a movie like this, it seems.
Yes, 100%.
Cool. Awesome. I'm going to suggest to the listener something I watched this week. I watched this entire trilogy called the Before Trilogy, featuring movies such as Before Sunrise, Before Sunset, and Before Midnight. Directed by Richard Linklater, starring Ethan Hawke and Julie Delpy. It follows two lovers named Jesse and Celine who meet every 9 years for one day, essentially. They get one day together every 9 years. Kind of like a really weird concept, but it's just executed so well. It's going back to Rotten Tomatoes. I think they're 198 and 97 respectively for each of the movies.
Wow.
So obviously critically acclaimed. They're great movies. It's quite talky, but I think if you're into kind of relationship stories / philosophical conversations, these movies are totally up your alley. They're all like an hour and a half too, which is insane. The second one is even an hour and 20 minutes, which is just nuts.
Yeah.
Really, really enjoyed this trilogy, and at the end of watching it, I was like, great. So everything I watch for the next month is going to be terrible because this was awesome. It was one of those things where I just could not wait to watch the next one because I just wanted to know what was going to happen. Really loved it. The Before trilogy. Look it up. Watch it, please. And I hope there's another one.
Some have called it the best franchise of all time.
For me, if I were to go by my star rating wise, it would be my favorite as well. I think Star Wars still would have my vote for my favorite franchise, but by star ratings, this would be my favorite as well. Yeah. And if they were to keep up the track of every 9 years, there'd be one coming out in 2022. So we can hope.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. So the movies have come out in 1995, 2004, and 2013, which is just straight commitment by Linklater and Hawke and Delpy. But
because that's years in advance. You got to schedule that right.
Oh, absolutely.
Which is really hard to do.
I mean, this is coming from the director too that made Boyhood, that literally took 15 years to make because he used the same actors for an entire 15 years. So he had to wait for the kids to grow up, essentially. Also,
just astonishing.
I'll just recommend Boyhood too. Great movie.
I'll just recommend him.
I'm just gonna recommend Linklater. I said it. All right. But seriously, the Before trilogy, really good. Check it out. It's totally worth it for everyone. But
I'll have to do that.
We're going to get out of here, but we're gonna tease next week's episode, which actually we haven't even talked about. But there are two movies that I'm thinking. Sam, we got Tom Hanks's new movie Greyhound out on Apple TV.
Yes.
Right now, and Charlize Theron. Theron. I'm sorry. We got her new movie, The Old Guard, out on Netflix now. What do you want to watch? Put me on the spot here. I'm putting you on the spot. I know.
I mean, we're probably gonna end up reviewing both of them, right? It's just a matter of which we want to get rid of first.
Let's do the old guard first, out on Netflix with Charlize. That one's a bit more accessible, and we might do Greyhound next week to give people a little bit more, if you want to see the movie, a little bit more prep time to find it and watch it, because it's a little bit more obscure.
You can open up a free trial with Apple TV. I'm not sure
how
it
open
works.
A free trial, then cancel it or keep it. I don't care. But yeah,
They only have that Steve Carell morning show, and they have Greyhound. Like,
I hear it's awful, the Steve Carell morning show, by the way.
Yeah, it's supposed to be a serious show, so we'll see how that goes.
Anyway, The Old Guard, out on Netflix now. We'll be here reviewing it next week. But in the meantime, Sam, if I were looking, I'm not, by the way, but if I were,
I would never look. Where
would I find you on Letterboxd?
You might be able to find me on a dark corner of the internet, which is letterboxd.com/sjdierberger. If you go to that URL, you might have to use like a Tor browser. I don't know, but if you go there, you'll find my page. And where can I find you, Will?
Wait, you'll find me at Will Spalding on Letterboxd. You'll find us at Eurovision Song Contest next year when we apply.
Oh my God, I'm in double trouble tonight.
Ooh, nice. That's why they pay us the big podcast bucks right there. Now, you can find us at thosefilmnerds@gmail.com. Send in an email of whatever you're thinking about movies. That'd be great. Send in a couple actors. That'd be fun. And you can find us at Those Film Nerds on Instagram. And that about does it. And until next time.
Keep watching movies. We discussed the template. I got to say it. Keep watching movies.
We'll get it. Thank you, everyone, for listening. We'll see you next time.
Have a great week.
Goodbye.